2024 saw some of the biggest cinematic flops in recent history, as high hopes and massive budgets were not enough to save these films from financial disaster. From star-studded casts to ambitious projects decades in the making, these movies aimed for greatness but fell flat at the box office. Join us as we count down the top 10 box office bombs of 2024, ranked by the staggering financial losses that made headlines and left studios reeling. Starting off our list in 10th place, Kevin Costner's Horizon, an American Saga. Chapter 1 aimed to recapture the spirit of epic westerns. However, its outdated appeal struggled to draw audiences, particularly younger viewers. Critics cited the film's slow pacing and conventional story as weaknesses, and despite Costner's personal star power, it failed to generate widespread interest. With a budget of $50 million, the film's modest box office gross of $38.2 million fell short of even covering its production costs, let alone its marketing expenses. The financial loss of $11.8 million dealt a blow to Costner's vision for the franchise, leaving the future of its planned sequels uncertain. In at 9, the reboot of The Crow failed to live up to its 1994 predecessor's legacy. Rupert Sanders tried to modernize the dark, gothic narrative, but fans and critics alike criticized its lack of emotional resonance and originality. Even die-hard fans of the franchise were disappointed by uninspired performances and generic visuals. The movie's $50 million budget was compounded by marketing costs that the studio struggled to recoup. Its $24 million box office gross left a financial hole of $26 million, cementing the reboot as one of the year's biggest misfires. 8th on our list, Guy Ritchie's war film, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, featured Henry Cavill in a gritty, action-packed story about unconventional World War II operatives. While the premise had promise, the film failed to resonate with audiences, many of whom felt the pacing was uneven and the plot overly formulaic. On a $60 million budget, the movie's meager $27.3 million box office earnings left it with a loss of $32.7 million. Despite some praise for the performances, the film's lack of strong marketing and competition from better-received war dramas contributed to its financial failure. In 7th place, here was an ambitious project from Robert Zemeckis, blending experimental storytelling with breathtaking visuals. However, its non-linear narrative alienated audiences, and its niche appeal made it difficult to market effectively. Despite the film's artistic ambitions, mainstream viewers struggled to connect with its abstract themes. With a production budget between $45 million and $50 million, the film only grossed $13 million at the box office. Factoring in marketing costs, the total loss amounted to $32 million to $37 million, making it one of Zemeckis' most significant financial failures. Holding the 6th spot, Sony's infamously bad Madame Web aimed to expand the Spider-Man cinematic universe, but its convoluted plot and poorly developed characters alienated audiences. Despite Dakota Johnson's best efforts in the lead role, the film failed to capture the same excitement as other Marvel-affiliated properties. The movie's $80 million to $100 million budget, combined with extensive marketing costs, meant that its $100.5 million gross was far from sufficient to break even. With a loss of approximately $50 million, Madame Web marked a significant setback for Sony's doomed Spider-Man spin-offs. In 5th place, Fly Me to the Moon tried to capture the grandeur of space exploration, but fell short in nearly every aspect. Critics lambasted its uninspired script and underwhelming performances, and audiences were largely indifferent to its release. With a hefty budget of $100 million and a star-led cast, the movie's paltry $40 million gross left a staggering loss of $60 million. The failure highlighted the difficulty of breaking into the competitive sci-fi genre without a strong hook or established franchise. The Borderlands movie, based on the popular video game franchise, was highly anticipated but ultimately failed to meet expectations. Fans of the games criticized the film for straying too far from its source material, while general audiences found the chaotic tone and humor off-putting. With a budget between $110 million and $120 million, the movie's dismal $33 million box office earnings left a loss of $77 million to $87 million. The failure reinforced the challenges of adapting video games into successful films. As the sequel to the wildly successful Joker, Folie à Deux had enormous expectations riding on it. However, The film's musical elements and experimental storytelling alienated many fans, leading to mixed reviews and muted audience enthusiasm. With an inflated budget of $190 million to $200 million, driven by elaborate production and star salaries, the movie required significantly higher earnings to break even. Despite grossing $206.4 million, high marketing costs left it with a loss of up to $200 million, making it one of the most disappointing sequels of the year. In second place, Matthew Vaughn's Argylle featured a star-studded cast and high production values, but was let down by a predictable plot and uninspired execution. Critics found the movie derivative, and its cast, including Henry Cavill and Dua Lipa, failed to draw significant audience interest. The $200 million budget was one of the highest of the year, but the film's $96.2 million gross left it with a devastating loss of $103.8 million. Its failure highlighted the risks of launching original big-budget spy franchises in a competitive market. Topping the list, Francis Ford Coppola poured his own fortune into Megalopolis, a passion project decades in the making. Despite its all-star cast and grand ambitions, the film's dense narrative and experimental style failed to resonate with audiences. Critics were divided, with many finding the film overly self-indulgent. With a production budget between $120 million and $136 million and an abysmal $13.7 million gross, Megalopolis suffered a loss of up to $122.3 million. The financial disaster marked one of the most tragic stories of 2024, as Coppola's dream project became the year's biggest box office bomb. And there you have it, the top 10 box office bombs of 2024. These films serve as a reminder that even big budgets and star power can't guarantee success. Whether it was poor marketing, creative missteps, or bad timing, each of these movies struggled to find an audience. Thanks for watching, and let us know in the comments which of these films you think deserved a better outcome.